Coming up on Network Africa. Foreign-owned small business owners lament attacks on their businesses in Durban, South Africa. Unidentified illness reported in southwestern Tanzania. Plus, Somalia misses a key deadline to hold presidential election on February the 8th. Hello and welcome to the program this week. I'm Layo Adegoke. We begin today with stories and happenings that made headlines over the weekend.
Saturday, the 34th Ordinary Session of the Assembly of the African Union kicked off virtually amid COVID-19 concerns and a joint commitment in the fight against the pandemic.
The events of the last year...
Cyril Ramaphosa, the President of South Africa, who is also the outgoing chairperson of the AU, told the virtual opening session that the AU has made huge progress in fighting against the COVID-19 pandemic and in sustainable development, emphasizing that the prosperous future of Africa can only be built through unity and cooperation.
The events of the last year have demonstrated that no country, no people, and no continent can stand alone in the face of the challenges that confront humanity. From pandemics to climate change, from war to poverty, we need to overcome shared problems through collective action.
The AU Summit held under the theme of Arts, Culture and Heritage, Levers for Building the Africa We Want. Still on Saturday, minor clashes between police and protesters broke out in Tunis as thousands took to the streets, defying a police lockdown that blocked roads in a large area of the capital. Police forces wearing helmets and wielding batons scuffled with protesters as tensions simmered at one point during the country's biggest demonstration in years. Riot police deployed cordons around the city centre, stopping both cars and many people from entering the street around Avenue Habib as thousands of people gathered. On Sunday, a new case of the Ebola virus was detected in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo near the city of Butembo, and the health ministry says the infected person has died. A woman was found with symptoms of the deadly virus in the town in Biena on February the 1st and died in a hospital in Butembo on the 3rd of February. She was married to a man who contracted the virus in a previous outbreak. The announcement potentially marks the start of Congo's 12th Ebola outbreaks since the virus was discovered near the Ebola River in 1976, more than double any other country. It comes nearly 3 months after Congo announced the end to its 11th outbreak hundreds of miles away in the west, which infected 130 people and killed 55. The outbreak overlapped with an earlier one in the east that killed more than 2,200 people, the second most deadliest in the disease's history.
Nigeria's Consul General in South Africa, Mr. Abdulmalik Ahmed, has visited the coastal city Durban, where he met with the police authorities in the KwaZulu-Natal province to address the issue of repeated attacks on foreign-owned small businesses, including Nigerians. A string of arson attacks have been recorded in the business district, leaving many of the operators with little option but to shut their businesses several times. We brought you this story on one of the attacks on the 25th of January, and our South Africa Bureau Chief returns to Durban to see how much calmer the situation has become.
Sounds come from South Africa's coastal city, Durban. Foreign small business owners claim their businesses are being petrol bombed by hoodlums, and they claim the police has been no help. This latest rumblings began with a protest that was quickly contained by the police last November in 2020. According to the protest leaders on camera at the time, Their message was that all illegal foreign nationals must go back to their countries. But on their flyers it said all foreign nationals must go back home. Since then, there have been sporadic arson attacks recorded on foreign-owned businesses across the Durban Central Business District.
Actually, it has been an MK veterans that hijacked the workshop flea market in the issue to say that we foreigners that are operating there have occupied the whole market area, and at the same time we're not giving the spaces to the locals.
So I got a small child there. On 28th, he was displaced because of this thing of running, stunning us. Then I displaced my child. I got him. So seriously, we are suffering here.
It happened on 24th of this month, January 24th. Early in the morning, they attacked us. They looted this shop at my shop. They burned everything down here. So even police was there. They never even helped us.
We did ask the police spokesman in the province, Brigadier J. Naika, after the January 25th attacks, what is being done to stop the attacks and apprehend perpetrators.
Reports were received of 2 shops as well as a stall belonging to a street vendor that was set alight. Police officers from Durban Central and Metro Police responded. They pursued the group and 1 suspect was arrested. He attempted to stab the police officers during the arrest but was quickly subdued without any injury to the arresting officers. Some stolen items were recovered from the arrested suspect.
Even those ones that were arrested, I heard at this one, I heard that have been most of them have been released. In fact, it's a cosmetics arrest. That's what I should say. Yeah. And if you look at it, you see that people are still scared. All the shops are still locked down. So we are calling the government to fully intervene, to be sincere in the intervention.
Police try to stop, but you know those people, how many times police is around, but if they get chance, they're coming, starting again.
Following the cry of some affected Nigerians, Nigeria's Consul General Mr. Abdulmalik Ahmed took a formal complaint to the Acting Police Commissioner in KwaZulu-Natal Province, Major General Tulani Gunya, who declined to comment on the outcome after the meeting.
We exchanged their views regarding the situation, especially with respect to the poor policing, the lack of response or the inadequate response of the police, to these attacks. They assured us that they were going to deal with the situation.
Yet another consultative security committee comprising the police and members of the Nigerian community is also to be established for information sharing. The Consul General also met and assured the Nigerian community in Durban of the mission's continued support, but appealed to them to remain law-abiding and vigilant at all times. From Durban, KwaZulu-Natal, South Africa, Betty Dibia, Channels Television News.
South Africa has suspended the rollout of the AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine, which arrived in the country just last Monday. Early scientific data released on Sunday by the Health Minister, Dr. Zweli Mkhize, revealed that the vaccine offered just 22% efficacy against the second variant of the coronavirus discovered in the country in October last year. Mr. Mkhize has announced that a team of experts will give guidance on the way forward with this vaccine.
In South Africa mutated to develop a variant which alters the spike protein of the virus. The virus has also been assessed against, the vaccine rather, has been assessed against this variant for effectiveness. The results suggest that the variant has significantly reduced the effectiveness of the virus on mild or moderate infection, and we are uncertain about the impact of the vaccine that it will have on hospitalization, severe diseases, and death. Excuse me. This means that what we will take from Professor Shabir Mahdi is that some more work needs to be done on this issue, because the results from other countries have been quite satisfactory, but there are issues in South Africa that we need to study a bit more.
So I think there are 2 issues that I would like to pick up on. The first issue relates to interchangeability of vaccines, and those sort of studies are already underway in the United Kingdom, where some individuals that received the AstraZeneca vaccine will probably be receiving the Pfizer vaccine as a second dose. And probably within the space of the next 6 weeks or so, we should get some data with regard to the interchangeability of vaccines. And it might well be that in South Africa, that we also explore the interchangeability of vaccines, including possibly the J&J and AstraZeneca vaccine. The other important issue, which I think I would like to bring to the fore, is that it's very likely South Africa, unfortunately, will experience another resurgence probably in 3-4 months when we head into the winter period. And the question that we need to ask ourselves, in the context of knowing that the COVID-19 vaccines, both the AstraZeneca as well as the J&J vaccine, are safe, foremost that they are safe. And even though there are question marks in terms of the effectiveness of the AstraZeneca vaccine against severe disease, do we want to take the risk of not vaccinating high-risk groups now, knowing that we're not going to cause harm, but that they might be protected against severe disease? So I think it's an important question that we need to address. And I think it somewhat would be reckless for us to decide just to discard of the 1 million doses of AstraZeneca vaccine that is available, with a biological probability that those vaccines might still be useful in terms of protecting against severe disease. So we might want to reframe our target group for vaccination in the next few weeks, few months, but it really needs to be centered around the prevention of severe disease and death from what will likely be a resurgence sometime soon.
Well, reactions have been trailing the halt of the vaccine rollout in South Africa. Many South Africans have reacted with shock and disappointment at the news that the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine will not be as effective as experts had hoped against the local COVID-19 variants. Some others think the government was hasty in their purchase of the jab.
Because the only thing that was gonna maybe just set us free. Vaccine.
The government acted prematurely in terms of buying the vaccine before they could have tested the vaccine. And I wonder whether the monies that they have spent on the vaccine itself, the import vaccine from India, was really necessary, because now we don't know whether the government is money down the drain or not.
In the meantime, President Cyril Ramaphosa is promising harsh and appropriate action to be taken against irregularities found in coronavirus-related government contracts. He says government agencies had been directed not to make payments to the service providers pending the outcome of investigations or court action in his weekly newsletter to the nation. Mr. Ramaphosa adds that they will not get to enjoy their ill-gotten gains, as steps have been taken to recover stolen money, including the freezing of bank accounts. A report released last year into the country's use of COVID-19 relief fund revealed overpricing and potential fraud. In some cases, personal protective equipment, PPE, was brought 5 times more than the price the National Treasury had advised. We're still in southern Africa, where Malawi says it will proceed with its plan to import the AstraZeneca vaccine, which it tags as efficient. President Lazarus Chakwera made this known in his Sunday address to the nation. The country is expecting to receive its first consignment of the vaccine at the end of February for rollout in March, and that will consist of 1.5 million doses. A recent study on the AstraZeneca vaccine showed disappointing results against the South African variant of coronavirus. According to experts, the South African variant has been linked to a second wave of infections in Malawi. But President Chakwera said the strategy of limiting new infections offers the best chance against the disease. Still ahead on the program. The United Nations Food Agency begins distributing food in Ethiopia's conflict-hit Tigray region. Please stay with us. Welcome back to the program. An unidentified illness has been reported in southwestern Tanzania, where patients are said to be vomiting blood. Health officials in Chunya district also say that some victims died within hours. The health ministry has sent a team of experts to investigate the reports, but ruled out any epidemic. It urged the public to remain calm as it investigates and promises to provide more information. Meanwhile, reports say Health Minister Dorothy Gwajima has suspended the local district chief medical officer who confirmed this illness. Tanzania has been accused of downplaying the scale of the coronavirus pandemic. President John Magufuli declared the country virus-free and also urged citizens to boost their immunities with herbal remedies in the face of the pandemic. To politics, Somalia has missed a key deadline to hold a presidential election today, February 8th, plunging the country into political uncertainty. The first term of incumbent President Mohamed Abdullahi Farmajo ends on Monday. Now, talks between the federal government and regional states on how to proceed with the elections collapsed last week. In a statement on Monday, opposition presidential candidates said they would cease to recognize Mr. Farmajo as president because his term had expired, calling for the formation of a transitional body made up of the speakers of the two houses, leaders of regional administrations, and representatives from their alliance to steer the country to the elections. They also urged the Somali National Army to stop taking orders from the President Farmajo from Monday. The country had already missed the deadline to hold parliamentary elections in December 2020 due to persistent disputes between the federal government and also some regional administrations. Sudan's Prime Minister Abdallah Hamdok has dissolved his cabinet and is expected to announce a new one soon. In a statement, the Prime Minister's office said the ministers would remain in office until the new ones take office and fully hand over. Sudan had been under transitional council since 2019 when former President Omar al-Bashir was toppled by the military. The country is now moving towards democratic rule after the ousting of President Bashir, who had been in power for nearly 30 years. Well, in Libya, a new government has been formed, and the United Nations says one of the key tasks of the new leaders is national reconciliation. A week-long meeting in Switzerland concluded on Friday with 74 delegates from Libya's opposing factions choosing the four leaders meant to guide the North African country through the national elections on December 24th. Speaking at a press conference in Geneva, United Nations facilitator of the process, Stephanie Williams, called it a moment for historic compromise.
This is a moment for historic compromise, for reaching, we've already seen it, people are reaching across the divide. You know, the guarantee is that what you are doing now will serve your people and who are waiting, you know, for elections and waiting for, you know, a government that can deliver services across the country for an improvement in the security situation. One of the key tasks of the new government is national reconciliation. And there was a lot of talk about this in the room today, about, you know, the need to build upon the trust and confidence that has been developed in the Libyan political dialogue forum. And that would be a key responsibility of the Presidency Council, particularly with regards to return of IDPs and those who have, you know, had to leave the country for people to be able to go back home. There are a lot of challenges. I think that the new executive will be up to meeting those challenges, provided that they follow the advice and recommendations put forward by the Libyan Political Dialogue Forum to build a government of, you know, competent, patriotic Libyans who are not there to divide the cake, but to share the responsibility.
The United Nations Food Agency has started distributing food in Ethiopia's conflict-hit Tigray region. That's according to David Beasley. He's the head of the World Food Programme. Now, this follows a deal between WFP and Ethiopia that was announced on Saturday, and it will expand access for aid workers to the region. WFP has said it will transport 20,000 tons of food to Tigray to support about 1.3 million people out of nearly 3 million people who need their help. Mr. Beasley tweeted a video showing workers at a warehouse in Tigray preparing the food for distribution.
Here I am in Mekelle in a warehouse, a government warehouse in the World Food Program. We're bringing in about 20,000 metric tons of food that'll support about 1.3 million people and the millions of people in need here in the Tigray region because of the conflict. And we're trying to address and help every single person get the food they need in this very difficult time. You can see they're unloading the trucks as we speak because people are hungry. And we're moving the supplies out there. We're bringing the trucks in, doing what's necessary. As you stand here in this warehouse, you can see they're stacking it up, and we'll redistribute this food, this wheat, out into distribution points all throughout the Tigray region. And so we're looking forward to scaling up. We're looking forward to supporting an additional 1 million people. The government will be supporting about 2.5 million people, working with the NGOs. We're going to make certain that every single person in this region, in the Tigray, are going to get the food they need to be healthy.
The people of Goza local government area of Borno State, northeast Nigeria, are calling on the federal government to end insecurity in the region. The senator representing the area, Ali Ndume, conveyed the concerns of the people when the state government distributed relief items over the weekend. Ndume said relying on charity is no longer sustainable. Goza is one of the Borno towns once devastated and captured by Boko Haram militants. Today, residents displaced by the crisis have returned home following the liberation of the town. But many still live in makeshift camps with no source of livelihood years after they return. The physically challenged, the able-bodied, all rendered handicapped as danger lurks behind the mountains. Many of the women sitting out here are widows from insurgency, now heading their families and raising children without fathers. Governor Babagana Zulum and other prominent citizens have been visiting Goza local government for humanitarian and developmental activities.
We distributed food items to about 11,000 heads of households. Each household receive 25 kg maize, grit, 12.5 kg of rice, and then 12.5 kg of beans. And inshallah, tomorrow we shall see how we can support the women group.
The senator representing the area at the National Assembly believes once there is peace, most of the problems confronting the people will be overcome.
If Goza alone can take in 25 trucks that will feed people, I don't think those rations will feed a family up to 1 month. The solution is to address and tackle the security matter so that our people can go back to their subsistence living.
27,000 vulnerable residents of Goza local government are receiving the food items being distributed. The residents are grateful for the intervention.
I'm very appreciative. I thank Governor Zulum for his foresight and justice, and we support his leadership style. We, the people of Goza, welcome his programs that have the masses at heart. What we want the government to do for us going forward is to see that these terrorists are cleared. They should assist us with jobs. 150 million has been shared by the state government as soft loans and grants to small and medium-scale traders in Polka, Izge and Limankara towns, all in Goza local government. According to the governor, the next phase of the entrepreneurial support will focus on women alone because of their enormous responsibilities. That's where we end the program today. Thank you for watching. I'm Layo Adegoke.